Robert Louis Stevenson once said, "You can give without loving, but you can never love without giving." I think two of the Bible heroes that best understood that principle particularly well were Jesus and Moses. As Christians, we need to broaden our understanding of stewardship and not relegate this principle simply to tithes and offerings. Stewardship is about the rules of engagement and how one conducts all aspects of their life. Just as Jesus and Moses experienced, I have known of situations whereby family, friends, or colleagues have rendered an individual persona non grata through indirect, subtle, or oblique hints that are usually derogatory insinuations. This is a form of character assassination and directly contradicts the principle of being a faithful steward. Stay tuned. In this episode of Harvest, we will explore the biblical concept of stewardship. Stewardship was first established in the Garden of Eden. We read in Genesis chapter 1, verse 28, and Genesis chapter 2, verse 15.
And God blessed them, and God said unto them, Be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the fowl of the air, and over every living thing that moveth upon the earth. And the Lord God took the man, and put him into the Garden of Eden to dress it and to keep it.
A steward is a manager for someone else, and we are God's stewards. The biblical concept of having dominion is rulership, and tending is an act of care. God expects us to rule over the planet with great care. However, at the fall, we lost our rulership of earth to Satan, and Christ's death and resurrection retrieved back that which we lost. In recognition of that which has been bought back at such a high cost, a good Christian steward is someone who understands God is the creator and owner of everything. And God has empowered us as managers of the blessings that He gives us. He has entrusted us with time and opportunities, ability and possessions, a great human family to care for, and the blessings of the earth and all of its resources. I quickly learned as a parent that I had to have greater interest beyond myself when my eldest child was born. I became her steward, and it developed a maturity within me that without her, I could have never known. The process of exercising authority, while still recognizing that you are not the owner of what you are managing, helps give us victory over selfishness and covetousness. Let's read 1 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 2.
Moreover, it is required in stewards that a man be found faithful.
In the parable of the talents found in Matthew chapter 25, Jesus uses an allegory, also known as a parable, to explain the concept of faithful stewardship. The master, who represents God, has given each of his servants a varying sum of money called talents. It isn't apportioned equally, but equitably, according to what the master knows each of the stewards can handle. The master then leaves the talents in stewardship. The first two servants invest what they are given and are able to double their master's money. The last servant decides he should bury the talent, fearing that if he loses the investment, the master would become angry. After some time, the master returns to check on his steward's progress. He has high praise for the two investors, but condemnation and serious consequences for the one who did nothing. The meaning of the parable extends beyond money. God has given to each one of us a wide variety of gifts, which include family, friends, colleagues, health, homes, careers. The list goes on. He has also given us talents and skills, whether they're teaching, preaching, administering, hospitality, carpentry, and this list also goes on. God expects us to use what He has given in the ways that He means for them to be used. And a big part of that is to use our gifts and talents in service to Him and for His purpose and glory. Now, it's important for us to understand the third servant is not being criticized by the master because he fell short of doubling his investment. The master had already accepted the liability if the investment were to fail. However, the master was disappointed because the third steward did nothing. He wasted a valuable opportunity. In Luke chapter 16, Jesus tells another parable about a shrewd steward. In this parable, Jesus tells of a servant who is caught wasting his master's money. He spends the money on himself. This steward was untrustworthy and subsequently fired from his job. God has entrusted each one of us with certain talents, wealth, time, positions, friendship, opportunities. He gives us these things and much more. But why does He do it? He has absolute power. He really doesn't need our help. Let's read Galatians chapter 5, verses 22 and 23, and then Hebrews chapter 13, verse 6.
So that we may boldly say, "The Lord is my helper, and I will not fear what man shall do unto me." But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, forbearance, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Against such things there is no law.
The Bible paints a picture of us as stewards with key words describing what a good one looks like. These words include faithful, trustworthy, loyal, accountable, grateful. We cannot squander our time, money, or talents on selfish gains or advancement because they weren't ours to begin with. If we return to my opening statement regarding character assassination, we must remember that everything and everyone belongs to God by creation and redemption. To hurt someone through open accusation or insinuation is also being a wicked steward. Let's read what the prophet Jeremiah says in chapter 9, verse 4.
Take ye heed every one of his neighbor, and trust ye not in any brother. For every brother will utterly supplant, and every neighbor will walk with slanders.
You might wonder why so much emphasis is placed on tithes and offerings and the principle of being a good steward, if stewardship is a principle much broader than money. Let's read 1 Timothy chapter 6, verse 10.
For the love of money is the root of all evil, which, while some coveted after, they have erred from the faith and pierce themselves through with many sorrows.
Money is involved in so much of our life, so of course it's going to be a big part of stewardship. We no longer settle debts with bushels of wheat. We no longer make bargains in terms of livestock and barter for goods. We work for physical and digital money, and all these funds are used to buy what we need or what we want. Let's read Malachi, chapter 3, verse 10.
Bring ye all the tithes into the storehouse, that there may be meat in mine house, and prove me now herewith, saith the Lord of hosts, if I will not open you the windows of heaven, and pour you out a blessing, that there shall not be room enough to receive it.
Your local church's storehouse is probably their bank account. The topic of money is often associated with being cold, dirty, and impersonal. Money is often linked to being greedy, but money in and of itself is actually not bad. It's what money can do to us inwardly that becomes evil. Tithes and offerings are also not the same thing. Tithes are the first 10% of our income. Did you know that the word tithe actually means a tenth? In Proverbs chapter 3, verse 9, it tells us that we should return God's tithes to Him first before we do anything else with the money He has given us. An offering is anything that we choose to give beyond the tithe, and it's given out of thanks. God's people have been practicing tithing ever since the beginning in Genesis. Moses then reintroduced Israel to tithing as a law in Leviticus chapter 27. God's tithing law actually serves many wonderful purposes. Tithe was designed to support the ministry or the priesthood. Today, that would mean pastors and teachers in Christian schools. Tithe also supports the maintenance of the temple, or in our case, our local church grounds. Did you know that tithe also goes to support the worldwide ministry of the church? In the Seventh-day Adventist Church case, it would support ministries such as It Is Written, or the Adventist Development and Relief Agency, but also so many others. Tithing is a form of worship. It shows God that we're trusting Him. We don't trust money to provide for us. And God promises that through our trust, He will bless us for giving. Tithing, as part of stewardship, also builds character. If you would like to study more for yourself the principles of stewardship, here are some Bible verses that can help you in your study. I believe we are God's stewards, entrusted by Him with time and opportunities, abilities and possessions, and the blessings of the great human family, along with riches and the resources of the earth. I believe we are answerable to God for properly using and caring for what He has graciously bestowed to us. I believe we acknowledge God's ownership by faithful service to Him and our fellow human beings, and by returning tithes and giving offerings for the proclamation of His gospel and the support and the growth of His church. I believe stewardship is a privilege given to us by God for nurture and love and the victory over selfishness and covetousness. I believe stewards rejoice in the blessing that come to others as a result of their faithfulness, trustworthiness, loyalty, accountability, and gratitude. I believe. Do you believe? Thanks for watching. Please like and share, and don't forget to subscribe.